Hi guys, Mr. Hill here with your maths lesson for today. We started off this set of lessons looking at multiplying a 2-digit number by a 1-digit number. Today, we're getting up to the heady heights of being able to multiply a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number. Before we get started, some questions to get your brain going. Pause the video here to answer these. Press play when you're ready for your answers. Okay, ready for some answers? So the first one, 12 times 4. We know our times tables, that's going to be 48. Now, question 2, don't really need to work that one out. We already know 12 fours are 48. 40 is just 10 times bigger than 4. So our answer is going to be 10 times bigger, 480. Now, 206 times 3 gives us 618. The numbers we're multiplying with, one of them has got 100 times bigger. So do I need to do the calculation to work this out, or can I just make 618 100 times bigger? Yes, I can make 618 100 times bigger. So that's 61,800. Now don't worry if you struggle with question 4, because it's 2 3-digit numbers together. We're going to do some more practice today. We'll get better with our multiplications if you did it with a written method. So to recap from our last lesson, where we did 2-digit numbers multiplied by 2-digit numbers, we lay them out, making sure our 10s and our 1s are in the right place value columns. We leave 2 lines in order that we've got space to complete our multiplications, to find the products for the 2 multiplications, and then we add those 2 products together to get our final product, which solves the question. So just to recap, have a think. Can you work this one out? Okay, how did you get on? We need to remember to start with the 1s. So 41 times 6 is going to be the first calculation that we carry out. So 6 times 1, or 1 times 6, gives us 6. 4 times 6, our next calculation, gives us 20. So that gets exchanged up to my hundreds. And 4. That's going to stay in my tens. Now I've got nothing to multiply that 6 with, so that's going to be 0, and I add the 2 to give me 2. So 41 times 6 is 246. The next step for this calculation is 41 times 20. Now, because we're multiplying from the tens, we need to remember there needs to be a 0 at the beginning. So we've got 20 times 1, which will give us 20. So that's our 0. We need to remember that goes in first. And then we've got our 20, or our 2 to show 20. Our next one is 20 times 40, 2 times 4. So that's going to go into our hundreds column for 820. The final step we need to complete is to add all of this together. So we've got 6, 6, 0, because we've got 10 there. So I need to complete an exchange. And I've not done a great job of laying this out. I've not left myself enough space here. Simple mistake. So when you're laying these out, give yourselves a little bit of extra space, a little bit more than you need. So I've got 1066 as my answer. So 41 times 26 equals 1066. Moving forward, what's the same and what's different? Have a look. What have I changed? We're still multiplying. The only difference is we've got 1 extra digit now. So instead of 2 2-digit numbers, I've got a 3-digit number, 132, multiplied by a 2-digit number, 23. Thought process, or the process of working this out, is exactly the same. We just have 1 extra step to complete for each calculation. So our first calculation is going to be 132 times 3. 3 2s are 6, 3 3s for 9, 3 1s for 3. The next step, exactly the same as we've been doing with 2-digit numbers. Moving forward, got 132 times 20. 20 times 2, the all-important 0 there to show us there are no 1s in this calculation. 2 2s makes 4. 2 3s makes 6. 2 1s, and in this case it's 20 times 100 is going to make 2 thousands. So this goes in our thousands column. And then the process to work out the final product is exactly the same as how we've been doing it for 2-digit times 2-digit numbers. We add the products together. 6 add 0 makes 6. 9 add 4 makes 13, so I've got to exchange my 1 and I write down the 3. 6 and 3 makes 9. Adding in the 1 I've exchanged across makes 10. So I'm going to exchange that 1 across and a 0 in there. And I've got 1 and 2 to make 3. So 132 times 23 makes 3036. Your turn. Can you solve this one? Using what we've just shown you, have a go at this one. Pause the video and complete your work. Okay, how did you get on? Did you find it tricky or was it really easy? I'm going to take you through how to solve it. So if you have got stuck with it, write it out again and finish it off. So as I go through it, write down the answers and you can see where they come from. So our first step to solving this is 326 times 2. 6 times 2, it's got a 12, so it's going to have a 1 to exchange. 2 goes in there. 2 times 2 for 4. Add the 1 we've exchanged across. It's going to make 5. The next calculation is 2 times 3. That makes 6. That's going to go here in the hundreds. Now, don't know whether you spotted it. I crossed out the 1 I exchanged because otherwise I'm going to end up getting confused. So if I've used the number I've exchanged across, I must remember to cross it out. If I don't do that, as I said, I'm going to end up making a muddle and I will get the question wrong. We're going to move on to our tens. 326 times 30, we've got that all-important 0 in here, which we must remember goes in our ones, because there are no ones in 30. So 30 times 6 was 180. So I've got my 0 to go in here, my 1 to exchange across, and my 8 in there. My next calculation is 3 times 2, which is 6, and add the 1 I've exchanged across. So remember to cross it out now that I've finished with it. My final step is 3 times 3, or 300 times 30, which will give me 9,000. So that's why this goes in the thousands column. And then, nice and simple, as we've been doing all along, we add the products together. 2 add 0 for 2. 5 add 8 makes 13, so we need to remember our exchange there. 6 add 7 is 13 again, but I've got 1 that I've exchanged across. So I've got my 1 to exchange into my thousands. 4 goes there. And 1 and 9, I've done it again. I've not given myself enough space. So I'm going to have 1 hanging over the edge there. Now, can you see how important it is to cross out the ones that we've exchanged? Because I could quite easily have added those ones in had I not remembered to cross them out. And I would have had a very different answer to the correct one. So my answer is 10,432. Now it's your turn. Have a go at these questions, pause the video, complete your work. I'll be back in a minute when you're ready to give you the answers. Okay, how did you get on with those? If you feel like you've struggled a little bit with those, please go back to the beginning of the video and work your way through again. Work along with the examples I've shown you on screen. Practice the method. Once you understand the method and you've got that, actually calculating it is a lot more simple than it looks. We know how to multiply. We're just doing it with bigger numbers each time at the moment. Here come your answers. So 1a, 13 times 3 is 39. The second part to that, it's got 10 times bigger. So you don't actually need to write it down and work it out with a formal method. You just make your answer 10 times bigger. And it's the same for all of those questions. Once you've worked out the first one, you're just making it 10 times bigger. So everything moves up one place value. Question 2, the answer's on the screen there for A and B. Now question 3. Brett has made a mistake. He's put the 0, showing that he's multiplying by 10, in the wrong place. He's put it in the ones calculation and not in the tens calculation. So everything is off. Everything is out by one place value throughout this calculation. Have you managed to solve it properly? If you have, you should have the answer of 4,968. Question 4 is a chance for you to practice what we've been learning this morning or today. How have you got on with those? Again, if you've made some mistakes, go back, rewatch the beginning of this video, practice that skill, and come back and have another go at question 4. Going to move us on now. So we're going to look at some reasoning questions. Dora, Alex, and Teddy have worked out 248 times 21. As you can see, Dora thinks it's 2,978. Alex thinks it's 5,208. And Teddy thinks it's 7,688. Now, someone's possibly right. 2 of them are definitely wrong. How could we work it out? How can I use estimating to help us check who is correct? Any ideas? So if I'm estimating, I don't need the exact numbers to work with. So we're looking at 248 times 21. I can round these numbers. So 248 is going to become 250. Round 21, I'm going to round that to 20. Now I've got some much nicer numbers to work with. I can say, multiply these two together. So I know that 25 times 2 is 50. All I've got is that both the answers are 10 times bigger. So I know that 10 times 10 is 100. So I need to make 50 100 times bigger. If I do that, it moves 2 places to the left on place value, and it becomes 5,000. So now I can go back to my answers. Dora, clearly not right, 2,978. Her answer's too small. 5,208, it sounds about right. It's quite close to my estimation. I'm going to say that might be correct. Teddy, 7,688. He's a long way away from my estimated answer. So I'm going to go and I'm going to say Alex is going to be nearest to being correct. We can use estimation again here. So we're going to estimate the side of each equation and write whether it's more than, less than, or equal to complete the statement. Have a go. What would you round these numbers to in order to check your calculation? Okay, what did you come up with? I went for 200, so I've rounded to the nearest 100. Makes my life nice and simple, nice, easy numbers to work with. I'm going to round to the nearest 10 for the 24th, that's 20. So 200 times 20 is going to be 4,000. Estimated answer. I'm going to look at the other side of my greater than, less than calculation. I've got 112 times 63. So again, I'm going to be rounding my numbers. 112 rounds down to 100, and 63 is going to round down to 600, or 60, sorry. Again, completing my calculation, I'm going to work that out. 6,000, so 100 times 60 is 6,000. Now all I need to do is put my symbol in. Which way round does it go? That's it. Well done. The way I remember it is the hungry alligator always eats the bigger number. It's the only way I've been able to remember it since I was your age and I was at school. So we're going to have a look at this one now. Mo orders some muffins for a party. He orders 12 from box A, 20 of box B, and 14 of box C. The question is asking us, how many muffins does Mo order? So we need to look at each box. How many muffins are in each box? Box A has got 1 muffin in it. Actually, change of plan. Have a look at it. See if you can work it through. How did you get on? So box A has got 12 muffins. 12 times 1, going to make 12. Box B, he's ordered 20 of those. There's 10 muffins in each of those. So 20 times 10 gives me 200. Box C, he's ordered 14 of those. And there's 12 in each box. 14 times 12. So 14 times 2 gives us 28. So we can partition our number. So similar to how we did it with the area model. 14 times 10 gives us 140. We just add those together to give us 168. So even when we're just using two two-digit numbers, we can still partition them and make the calculation simpler for ourselves. All I need to do now is add them together. 200 plus 168 plus 12 is 380. It must be a good party if he's ordered that many muffins. But the answer is 380 muffins for the party. Now moving on. So we've got a 2-part question now. Each muffin costs 24p. How much does Mo spend on muffins? What would the calculation be? Okay, you've had a chance to think. I'm sure you've all shouting the same answer at me. It's 380 times 24. I want you to have a go at solving this one. Off you go. Okay, how have you got on? Finding it easier now that we've been over it a few times, I hope. So we've got 380 times 4 for our first calculation. So we'll run that through. 4 times 0, we must remember anytime we multiply by 0, the product is always 0. 4 8s, 32. So we've got our 3 exchanged across, we've got 2 there. 3 4s, 12. Don't forget we need to add in 3 we've exchanged previously, making 15. We also need to remember is to cross out the number we've exchanged once we've exchanged it into the correct place value. Don't leave it sitting there. Otherwise, you might end up adding 3 in by mistake and getting the wrong answer. Okay, so our next calculation is 380 times 20. So we've got the all-important 0 because we're multiplying by 10 to start us off. We're going to have another 0 because we all know anything multiplied by 0, the product is going to be 0. 2 times 8 is 16, so we've got an exchange to complete there. So 6 goes there, the 1's been exchanged across. 2 times 3 for 6, add the 1, makes 7. And again, remember to cross it through. We now add the 2 products together. 0 to 11, so we've got an exchange again there. 1 and 7 to make 8. Add the 1 we've exchanged across, makes 9. Are we finished? No, we're talking about money. So we've got the answer. It's 9,120p. That's a lot of pennies to be trying to work out. How can we convert 9,120 pennies into pounds and pennies? So we need to remember that 100 pennies makes £1. So what do we need to do next? We need to divide by 100. So I need to divide 9,120 by 100. Now I could do this using a written method, which could get quite complicated. So instead, I'm going to use my place value chart. I'll write my number in. Now, because I'm dividing by 100, everything is going to move 2 place values to the right. So I'm going to have tenths and hundredths in my number. So let's move everything 2 place values. There goes my 0. There goes my 2. There goes my 1. And there goes my 9. Now I've got a slight problem here. My animation hasn't quite worked out properly. The decimal point should be after the 1. So this is where it makes sense to check how you're writing things down so you don't get the wrong answer. Otherwise, if I took this as being right, I would write my answer as £9.12, which is clearly not right. So it's worth checking. The actual answer is £91.20. Your turn again. Have a go through these questions, pause the video, and when you're ready for your answers, press play. Okay, how did you get on? I hope you've used the skills I've taught you today, so the estimating to work things out. Let's have a look through. Question 5. Some children were asked to work out 308 times 19. Which was the best estimate to use? So we need to look at rounding. Now, we could round to the nearest 100, which is what the second option was, but the closer option was 310 times 20. So they've rounded to the nearest 10 for both numbers. So that'll give us a more accurate estimate. So the estimate answer was 6,200. So I've explained why I've gone with that one. Now you might have chosen to go with 300 by 20 because that's what we showed you, rounding to the nearest 100 when you're working with hundreds, rounding to the nearest 10 when you're working with tens. So the answers that were given, Nihar came up with 28,028. Philip came up with 5,852. And Whitney came up with 2,080. From your estimate, who do you think was correct? Which our number is nearest to our estimate answer? Well, for me, it was Philip. And when you work out the correct answer, it is 5,852. Football pitch, question 6, is 128 meters long and 52 meters wide. What's the area of the pitch? For the area, we need to multiply the length by the height of our shape. So it's going to be 128 times 52. So another opportunity for you to practice the skills we've been learning today. That gives us an answer of 6,656. How many football pitches could fit into a field that's 25,000 square meters? Now, there's a really difficult way of answering this, and there's a really easy way of answering this. The really difficult way is to try and work out how to divide 25,000 by 6,656. It'll take you a long time, and it's very complicated to do it as a written method. You could do it with a calculator, or you could round and estimate. So I could round 6,656 up to the nearest 1,000, which would be 7,000. I know that 3 sevens are 21, so 3 7,000s will be 21,000. If I take 21,000 away from 25,000, I've only got 4,000 square meters left over, so I don't have enough space for another football pitch. So I know that 3 football pitches will fit in that space, and there will be some space left over. Question 7. You're looking at 146 times 64. Is it greater or less or equal to 164 times 46? Bit of practice to work out the two answers and compare them. Check your answer here. Question 8 is very similar to what we just went through with the muffins. So Miss Rose is ordering some pencils. She orders 17 of pack A, 14 of pack B, and 4 of pack C. How many pencils does Miss Rose order in total? So you work out how many of each pack, add those products together, you get 697. Each pencil costs 16p. So your calculation there, a good opportunity to practice what we've learned today. 697 times 16. And then you need to divide it by 100 to convert it into pounds. So you would have got the answer 11,152 pence, which when divided by 100, so remember everything moves 2 places down the place value chart. So your ones and your tens become your hundredths and your tenths. You've got £111 and 52 pence. Well done today, guys. You've worked really well. If you feel like you've struggled with some of the bits today, please go back, maybe watch yesterday's video as well. That will be really helpful. And then rewatch parts of today's video and have another go at the questions on a fresh piece of paper. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow for another maths lesson.